So what I'm going to concentrate today on is how to load your transaction on Propcon. But I'm going to be concentrating on a transaction as though all conditions have been fulfilled. Look, Propcon, you'll see in the deal section, I mean, you know, they've catered for almost anything. It's a very, very powerful system. So you could even start it the minute you start your OTP, and then you can set yourself milestones and be reminded that the bond's supposed to be due on a certain day and all that type of thing. And I'm not going to be covering that at all today. Today, I'm going to cover what's necessary to make sure your transaction is recorded and you can submit it to the transactions team so that you will get paid. So we're going to be looking at that as though, as I said, all conditions are already fulfilled and so on as we go along. Okay, let me share my screen, which is Propcon. So there you can see, as you can see, I'm in Propcon. So to record your first transaction, you need to go obviously to the left menu. Let me go there on the top left with the 3 bars. I'll go to the left menu, go to deal tracking, click on that, and then click on deals. Okay, once you've clicked on deals, okay, these are existing deals that we've got going. You are going to go to the top right. Let me just see if I can make this any bigger. Yes, I can. Top right over there where you see it says new, plus new. You're going to click on plus new, and you're going to start creating a deal. So we're going to create a dummy deal here. Let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, give it an address so that you always know which deal it is. Smith Street. Okay. And then click link myself as an agent, because obviously you are the agent and you're going to be linking yourself. Now I'm going to be assuming, let's just say maybe you're the listing agent. There might be other agents involved, and we'll look at that as well going forward. But only one of the agents must, of course, capture the deal on Propcon. Okay, link myself as an agent and click the plus button. And now this is how any deal is going to look going forward. Even once you've created it, if you go into the deal, you're always going to see this with all the tabs at the top: overview, info, progress, people, etc. So we're going to be looking at most of those, the ones that are really necessary to make sure you do get paid and everything's in order. Okay, on the overview tab, obviously right now, there's nothing much happening because you haven't put the price in or anything. Here you can go and link a listing. So you can create a transaction without linking it to a listing, because maybe you sold the property that you didn't even have listed. That was another agency's property or something like that. But if it's your listing, you go here and you click on the plus button to link a listing. Then you're going to start searching for it. So let's just say I can find something in, find one of mine. Let's just say this thing, number 144 Murray Street. So I'm linking it to that so that people know, but it's not serious for the payout, of course. So I'm linking it to that listing. Now on the access tab over here is where later on you'll see actually when a transaction specialist gets assigned to this, you will actually see them there, and you'll see it's either going to be Gavin or Marie or whoever is assigned will then also have access to your deal. But this is where you can add other agents if you want them to see the deal as well. So let's just say, in this case, let's just say Lydia did a deal with me, just for interest's sake. Okay, oh, okay, I've got already. So, okay, if you've already added people, you will see them over here. So Lydia has done deals with Shanae. Let's just say she hasn't done a deal with me yet. So you won't see me there. I simply add my eXp email address. So any agent you want to see this deal who you maybe had a shared deal with, you can put in over here. Make sure the email address is correct. And then it will also appear on their Propcon, and they'll be able to see it under deals. Okay, so there I've added myself. Now you'll see myself and Lydia have access. Sorry, I know this is sounding funny because I just added myself. I'm actually acting here on Lydia's Propcon. So for all intents and purposes, today I am Lydia. Okay, right, that's basically it on the overview tab. Now we move over onto the info tab. This is where most things happen. So on the top there, second tab, info. This is where most of the important things are taking place. Right, so the deal ID you will not change. That has been allocated by Propcon, and that is what you will use later as a reference number if you're speaking to the transactions team or anything like that. Right, type of deal, we're going to be working with a residential sale. So you just choose the correct one, residential sale. Now the status, obviously there's lots of options here. So if you load the deal just right immediately after it's been created and people still have to get bonds and things, you would obviously mark it as pending. So as I said, I'm going to be dealing with a deal as though it's finished. Okay, everything's in place. So I'm going to say it's been concluded. Okay, it's not registered, but it's been concluded. In other words, all suspensive conditions have been fulfilled, and I know the deal is final. This stages over here, you will not be working with. This is one of the functions that I said Propcon has that can make your life a lot easier. So you could go and create stages for yourself. So you would say one stage is maybe OTP signed by buyer. The other stage could be OTP signed by seller. The other stage could be all suspensive conditions fulfilled or bond approved. Another stage could be certificates obtained. So you could create your own stages, and you could actually move your transactions along just for your own admin. Okay, we're not working with that now. Okay, description, there you see, that's what I put in just now, is 1234 Smith Street. And that's all we worried about now. Right, now the dates. So the deal date, you can put in today's date. It's the date you're capturing it. The agreement date is when the OTP was actually signed by all parties. I'm just going to say, let's just say this was signed a while back on the 1st of October. And in the meantime, all the bonds have been approved. And then expected registration, when you expect it to transfer. So let's just say this one is now carrying on, and we're in October, so in November. I'm expecting it to register early in January, let's just say. What's happening here? November, December. So again, it's just an expected date, so people know roughly when it's going to happen. The registration date is obviously not going to be filled in. That gets filled in once it has registered, and that will be done by the transactions team. Okay, so you've got all your dates in. Now the money part. This is where you're going to make sure you're accurate. Okay, although remember, you are going to upload the OTPs. The transactions team is not just going to take your word for what's happening here. They're going to double check all the paperwork and make sure the commissions are correct and so on. But nevertheless, let's start a dummy here. So let's just say the sales price is let's make it easy. Just make it an apartment or something, 1 million rand, so that the sums all make sense. Right, so the sales price is 1 million rand. Sorry, I just want to go up at the top there. So I've clicked auto calculate. It just means it's going to sort of calculate things as I go along. But there's no VAT is payable on this deal. You click that if no VAT is payable on the commission. So for us as eXp agents, you'll always leave that unticked. This has got nothing to do with whether there's VAT on the sales price. This is VAT on commission. The reason it's there is because obviously Propcon caters for various companies, and some companies are not registered for VAT. Then they would tick there's no VAT on this deal. But it's only applicable for the commission part. Okay, so we leave that because we do pay VAT at eXp on the commission. Right, commission percentage. I'm going to put that in as 5%. So this percentage needs to be inclusive of that, because you'll see it'll calculate the ex-VAT later on. So here you can say 5%. If you wanted, you could say 5.75 to make it inclusive of that. Or otherwise, I say 5, and I just click the little plus button over there, and it makes it 5.75. Okay, so my commission is 5% plus VAT, which is 5.75. Now you'll see it has started calculating here. So here it says now the 5% is excluding VAT over there. It's calculated to be 50,000. If you go and change things in the meantime, and those bottom ones don't change, make sure you change them so that they still remain correct. Then inclusive of that is 5.75, which is now 57,500 on the million rand deal. Okay, now here's where the splits come in if necessary. So what you need to know is the internal commission is the total commission that eXp is going to earn. Okay, so that is you and another. So in this case, let's say myself and Lydia are sharing the deal. We're both eXp agents. So the total eXp commission comes in here. We're not splitting between me and Lydia. We're going to do that down the bottom. Right, so eXp's commission in this case, let's just say it's only an eXp transaction. Then we're going to put in here that eXp commission is, okay, let's rather just do a total one where we don't only say that. So let's just say eXp's commission is 80% of the deal, because we've got to pay a 20% referral to another company, maybe. Right, so internal commission, we now need to quickly work out. So the 50% times 80 is going to be 40,000. So 40,000 is eXp's commission, and you'll see it immediately translate it on the left to the inclusive of that as well. And now the external commission, as I said, this is only other companies. Okay, it's not other eXp agents. You're going to deal with them below where it says money payouts. So the external commission is now the balance. So that's going to be 10,000 Okay, so now we're all totaling up again, right? The total commission is 50,000. eXp is getting 40,000. These are the exclusive of that figures. And the other company, maybe Rawson or Remax or somebody, is getting 10,000. Now, money payouts, you're going to say, now who actually gets what of all those amounts? So here you will start by saying, let's just say, okay, I'm Lydia. Lydia is the listing agent. So call her the listing agent. We choose her there. Lydia is the listing agent. We're only going to worry about how much of the commission is she getting. So let's just say myself and Lydia are splitting 50-50. That's on eXp's portion of the commission. And eXp's portion is 80%. So Lydia is getting 40%. You can go and watch the recording later on, if you get stuck with things like this. So Lydia's commission is 40%. And I'm going to add that. Now I'm going to add another payout. So the other agent, let's just say I sold it, or Andre Vorster sold it. I know this is getting confusing. Selling agent, choose myself, Andre Vorster. Remember, if the agent's not there, you must just go and type in the email address. So I'm getting other 40%. So again, you must remember, this is now 40 and 40 is 80 because we said eXp's total commission is 80. Now I'm going to add, who does the other 20% go to? Let's just say agent referral. Here we're going to write in Rawson Yanni, just call Rawson Yanni, so we don't get specific. So he's getting a total of 20% of the commission, correct? Okay, so now we've got all the payouts. So you'll see, so Lydia's getting 40, Lydia and myself are each getting 40, the external agent is getting 20, and now it's got a total up. Here we've got it again. So the sum is 100,000 exclusive of that. Is that working out? Yes, it is. The sum is 100%. Sorry, the total commission must be 50, exclusive of that. And there we were at the top. Total commission is 50, and inclusive of that is 57. So at least we see that everything's balancing out here. So we're happy. Okay, conditions at the bottom. I'm not going to add conditions now. This again is if you loaded it earlier and you wanted to say there's going to be a bond, etc. I'm going to add one because we can just say it's been completed. Let's just say, so in this case, it's okay. In this case, we're going to say it should already have been done. But this say it's going to happen in 2 days. The bond was supposed to. So I'm going to say bond approval was needed by day after tomorrow. I'm updating that, right? So now you'll see there is a condition, but because it's already done, I go and edit that, and I simply say that it's been met. Update. Okay. So the transaction team can also say, yes, there was a bond approval that had to happen, but it's already been concluded. Right, so I'm happy. I'm saving everything so long there with a green button. Wonderful. So, info tab has been done correctly. Move on to the progress tab. We're not going to be working with this. This is something you can go and watch the Propcon videos on, because again, this is if you want to manage your deal from the start and you want to be reminded about things, you could go and add in milestones here. So there's actually pre-recorded milestones that you can add, and you can say a deposit is due by a certain time and the bond is due, and then you will be sent reminders by Propcon, check on this because the bond is due, etc. In this case, as I said, I'm ignoring all that because everything's been fulfilled. My transaction, bond, and everything is in place, so I'm happy. Okay, on the People's tab, up top, People tab, here is where you can add any other people that are, so for instance, like the attorneys are the important one. You must add the conveyancers and all their contact details so that the transaction team can see that, because they're going to send them the commission invoice. You can also add the buyer details and the seller details here. Not necessarily necessary, because in your documentation, obviously all that will be uploaded onto the drive, which we're going to look at just now. So we're going to add an attorney. So I'm going to, obviously you would possibly have to create a new contact, but I'm going to choose one. So first I'm going to say it's a lawyer or attorney, and I will have some here. So you would have added a contact previously on Propcon, or otherwise you'll be able to do one new now. I'm going for Kruger, who's one of the attorneys. Okay, there we go. So he was already loaded, luckily. So there are all his details so that people, the transaction team will know where to send the commission invoice. Okay, so you can add other people here as well, like buyers and sellers, if necessary. The letters tabs, that's something you can go and read up about. Here you could create letters and templates and things which you send to attorneys. I'm not going to be bothering with that now. Right now, we're bothering about the eXp side of things and making sure the transaction team has everything they need to pay you. Calendar, I'm also not going on there. If you have certain events that have to take place, like bond approval, they can come there. Tasks, also not. This is where you'll, as you see, do you want to make a list of conditions that need to be met? So those will be, again, like bond approvals due, etc. The other important thing then is obviously the drive up top there. So here you've got to upload all your files. Sorry, let me just get over here as well. So obviously the most important things is everything that the transactions team is going to be looking for. They're going to be definitely want to see the OTP. They're going to want to see the property condition report, any other relevant documentation, buyers' details, sellers' details, they'll need to see on there. What else is really, really necessary? So, okay, you can obviously load your picker on here if you want it somewhere digitally where it's nicely and saved, so all the buyers and sellers' IDs and proof of address. But it's going to have to be loaded onto DocFox or Encino as well for picker purposes. So all you do here is you simply go onto the upload button over there, click upload, and you choose all the files. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple of dummies. Let's just go like this. Okay, let's just go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to put up a couple. Okay. Commission split. Sorry, I see that document. So very important. Okay, I'm going to upload those so long. So your OTP will have to be there. Your property condition report will have to be there. Commission split, very important. If your OTP doesn't specify who is getting what commission between eXp agents or with externals, if the commission clause doesn't say, 20% to this person, 40% to that person, then you must have a signed commission agreement, which you'll find on the agent center. It's a referral agreement. Where all the agents and agencies sign that this is the split that they're going to be working on. So you will have to have a commission split agreement if it's not specified. And again, all these things have to be correct. Remember your OTP, it must be initialed on all pages by all parties. eXp is going to check that. They've got to keep everything above board. The property condition report must be signed by all parties. Your OTP, believe me, if it's digitally signed and they can see it's been signed digitally, it will not be accepted. The Alienation of Land Act still states that it has to be signed in wet ink. So all those things, make sure everything is kosher. Right, so now you'll see I've uploaded it. Everything is here, so the transaction team will also be able to see all the documentation. Okay. On the notes tab is where you could make notes for yourself, whatever, but you'll also see when we notify the transaction team, we'll send them a bit of a note. Okay. Now, what you need to know is when everything is in place, you can notify the transaction team by clicking on this button. But now what you must first do is make sure that all your picker is also done on DocFox or Encino, as it's now called. Okay, make sure all your picker is in place, buyers, sellers, everything is fine on DocFox before you notify the transaction team, so that when they get notified, they can go and check everything. Okay, so you're happy, you've checked everything, you've gone over everything and your info tab and everything. I'm just going to save this again. Make sure you're happy with the transaction. You've already done everything on DocFox, so you're happy that the figure's in place. Then you can notify the transaction team. So you do that by clicking the green button at the top. So when you click that, it just says here, as it says, when you click send, we will notify your transaction team and share the deal info link with them, including a personal message. So I will always just put in a message. I'm going to paste it in here, which basically says, please check this transaction for correctness, as well as the figure for all parties on Encino and DocFox, so that they know I've done everything. And when they get this message that I'm assuming everything is final, they must please go and check, and they'll let you know if there's anything outstanding. Then you submit this. I'm not going to do it now. When you submit it, they automatically get notified. Okay, you do obviously fall in the queue, but then eventually somebody will acknowledge it, and you'll also get an email. And then on the overview tab, if I click up top there again, here where we said who's got access to this deal, you will also see the transaction specialist that's allocated to your deal appear. Okay, so at least you know also who you've got to keep contact with going forward. But from there on, they will now keep contact with you, and they'll let you know if anything else is short or anything other than that. Then all I suggest further than that is just to make sure everything happens smoothly. Once it's close and you know everything is now in place and you've done this timelessly, again, please do this as soon as you can. So once the deal is final, just get everything done. Load it on here, get the DocFox, get the flicker done as soon as possible. You don't want delays later on, and notify the team so that there's more than enough time to make sure everything is in place so you don't have delays on your commission payment later on. But then what I do suggest is when you know it's going to maybe be lodged now and it will probably be registering in 2 weeks' time, just send them an email. By that time, you will have a correspondence on them on that deal with that deal ID. Then just send them a deal, an email saying this is now going to be registering. Have you please make sure you send the commission invoice to the attorneys, etc., etc. And then everything should be fine. We're just going to make sure certain things are in place. But this is really showing you what really is necessary to make sure that you are compliant and that everything's in place and everything is done correctly so that the transactions team will be able to process it and make sure you are paid. So I think that's it for here for now.